What is going on, kids? It is your doctor, Dr. Reverend LeBeau, and I'm coming at you once again from the X Lair to provide you my very deep and insightful thoughts into, what I thought about this Hellfire Gala business, which has been very exciting. I thought I would throw down some thoughts, given that there were some big movements that occurred within the show, within this series. Which ultimately wound up being, I think, about 13 issues throughout the various X titles. It's just exciting to imagine what could be coming next. And I just wanted to get some of my thoughts down on it because I'm really enjoying everything that's happening within the X books. It's just such a great time because I've been following the X books for so long, and then everything got really fucking exciting all of a sudden ever since Disney bought Fox, basically. And they're like, oh, we can make money off these characters now. The kind of money we want to make off of them, and it's no longer for competitors. So now it's like, okay, let's treat them with reverence, right? So that's what's been going on. They're trying to unify everything. It's working. All the characters in the X universe are together in some way, shape, or form. The ones that are not are very intentional. Everything's sort of aligning in a beautiful way. I'm taking the world into new areas that are very exciting. So obviously, I've already talked about in a prior video, the planet-sized X-Men development. Now that is enormous. We have a new planet. We have a planet full of mutants from Morocco. We have a storm now. So I didn't talk about this. So in the Sword episode that came after planet-sized X-Men, we had Storm to be revealed to be the regent of Mars. I mean, how fucking cool is that? And then I know that Hickman is writing, I believe Inferno is the 4-issue miniseries that he's writing that's supposed to sort of kind of take us into a new chapter of his overall story with respect to like Moira and things of that sort. And of course, Mystique and Destiny and the things that were established in that book. Because everything else has been about kind of building the world. But now we're finally at the point where we're expanding it. Even though XMen Sword did expand it quite a bit, obviously. And introducing all the Arakko mutants and Arakko itself and just everything, Genesis, the 4 horsemen that are Apocalypse's kids, Cypher's wife, just all these different mutants. And then, of course, more mutants were introduced in Planet-Size X-Men. Just fucking dope designs, cool characters. So Storm is now the regent, and I'm assuming because Hickman is not going to be writing the main X-Men book, it's going to be, I think, Jerry Duggan is his name, who I think is currently writing X-Force. I think he's writing Cable. He might be writing X-Force, but he is ultimately going to be writing X-Men, and Hickman is the head of X, right? So he's sort of overseeing all the books and sort of aligning everything in a way that allows them to all kind of stay on one path, be that a parallel one or not. It's all kind of going in one direction in a very kind of tight-knit way. Apparently, all the creators are always talking. So it's not like a one-time summit type of thing where they go someplace, figure shit out, and then go their separate ways. It's like they're always connected. So you can always see that within the books. Everybody's referencing things happening in other books. So it feels unified, which is the thing that was my biggest gripe with everything going on, like the last 10 years of X-Men prior to House of X, which was like things were happening, but nobody cared. Like you didn't see the ramifications of big storylines throughout the books. Like there was, I think it was the Dark Iceman saga in Astonishing X-Men, in which Iceman is like revealed to be like not revealed to be, but like we see him use his powers at a level we've never seen them before, and he becomes a worldwide threat. And like that's something that was never really addressed after that, and it wasn't addressed anywhere else besides Astonishing X-Men. It's like, fuck you. Like that's enormous. This is an important X-Men character. Like you can't just ignore that. So now it's like everything that's happening is important. It matters throughout the books. It feels like a unified world. And I feel like me as an X-Men fan, I'm finally getting what I deserve. Actual good storytelling in this world of this sort of immersive, huge amount of characters that are all wonderful in their own way and have interacted in so many different ways and have the potential to do such great things. But now it's happening. It's doing terraforming Mars. That is fucking awesome. You know, that just really, it's just so dope. And it's like, yes. And then of course, the resurrection protocols, the 5, all this stuff. It's just so good. It's so good. It just makes me so happy. All of it. So then in that Sword episode, so the question is Hickman writing a Planet Arakko series? And I hope he is. You know, I hope that's what's happening after Inferno. Like he writes a book that is centered on Storm, but deals with Arakko and what Arakko is and sort of the world of Arakko and some of the key players and how it all sort of starts to unfold with respect to the planet itself, but also, you know, its impact on Earth, on the rest of the universe, etc. So it's a very exciting thing. This episode of Sword was also important for sort of establishing the implications of Arakko, Planet Arakko, universally, right? And so this thing, Mysterium, which was, I guess, introduced in Sword number 1, but not really clarified, and now it was clarified, is sort of going to be like this new currency in the galaxy. And because it's being generated by the mutants, then that sort of that gives them leverage. And it also kind of allows for diplomatic relations, given that apparently Null from the King in Black storyline, which is another thing happening, right, in the Marvel Universe, where the symbiote, Venom symbiote, has been revealed to be part of a much bigger sort of group of elements within the greater universe that ultimately goes back to like this god of symbiotes. And it's this wonderful story. If you don't know anything about it, there's Comics Explained on YouTube, has a video that kind of has the entire thing, and it's really cool to like watch and just kind of and soak in. Or you can buy all the books, you know, but a lot of the books have gone up in price. They're very expensive, or some of them are very expensive. Some of them are reasonable, but ultimately I'm sure trades will be released, etc., or maybe an omnibus. But in the meantime, like there are options for you to kind of get caught up on that. But anyway, that was a universe sort of sprawling event that ultimately, I guess, crippled a lot of planetary civilizations. And so this Mysterium element is helping to sort of mollify that, which ultimately allows for more peaceful diplomatic relations with this new planet that has now deemed itself the capital of the universe. I'm sorry, of the solar system, Sol, which is our solar system, which is all very exciting, and I can't wait to see what all that goes. So that book was really important in terms of kind of establishing the status quo externally beyond the planets, beyond our solar system. And also like a lot of the stuff that's going on with respect to some of the key Marvel Universe characters, like Captain America. He realizes that what they've done to terraform Mars is very exciting, but he wishes that it could have been more of sort of like a group effort with respect to humans and mutants. But I mean, whatever. He seems sort of okay with everything going on. Clearly, Doctor Doom sees all of it as a threat. But ultimately, I think Storm, her entrance kind of mollified that. So that stuff's going on. And then beyond that, we had, of course, that moment at the end of Sword where Magneto welcomes in Magda, right? The Scarlet Witch, Wanda, right? Wanda Maximoff, into wherever he was. I think he's in that place where he, that he created. Was it for Emma Frost? Was that in a giant size X-Men Magneto? Yes, it was in there. Did he make that for himself or for Emma? I forget. Anyway, I think that's where that little interaction took place. So we see that, and then we have Way of X, which is sort of the day after the gala, the morning after the gala, that deals with kind of like important stuff, but not really gala in particular stuff. Sort of, but not really. Interesting stuff, but I'm not going to talk about that. But in that book, we kind of see that Kurt sees that interaction between Magneto and Wanda. Well, then I guess it was on Arakko, unless they went, Krakoa, unless they went to Krakoa afterwards. Clearly, you can easily go to different places via the portals, but But if that was Krakoa, or maybe that party was happening elsewhere, I don't know. I'm not 100% clear on it. Nonetheless, it was established that Kurt saw Magneto and Wanda together. So clearly that's a seed for what's to come. So today we had the final chapter, which was the X Factor book, in which is the last X Factor book. It's unfortunate, but it did tie up some stuff. And, I thought it was a good sort of resolution. And the team is moving on to the trial of Magneto, which I believe is another 4-issue miniseries. I don't know how many issues. I think it might be 4. I believe the same team is doing that book, and it's going to be very much like X Factor involved in the X investigation. So it will sort of be an X Factor book. We'll see what happens after that. But at the end of this issue, it is revealed that Wanda has been fucking killed. Now, that is really important for a lot of reasons. One is like, who the fuck killed her, right? So there's like the whole whodunit business. But beyond that, like, what are the bigger implications of this? Like, this is my thought, because a few years ago, during this whole like Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are being used by both Fox and Disney, when they were used in Days of Future Past and then also in Avengers Age of Ultron. Marvel proper, because again, they were trying to fuck over the X-Men because they didn't want Fox to fucking have anything good. And ultimately, they were just screwing over the fans, but they did not give a fuck because bottom line is what they're about, because they're a corporation. That's the way it works. I'm not going to judge it. It's just what it is. But in the end, like, they basically retconned, retroactive continuity'd, changing the backstory of the relationship between Magneto, Wanda, and Quicksilver to not be related. And for Quicksilver and Wanda to not be mutants. Okay, so there's that. So the question is, like, is this about retconning that again? By killing Wanda and then maybe trying to convince the council to resurrect her, like, well, in that case, will it be revealed that Xavier has been backing her up because he knew she was a mutant the whole time, or something, something to sort of retcon the retcon and make them mutants again, her and Pietro, and then related to Magneto again in some way, because we're dealing with like genetics being used to regrow these bodies, right? And then the backup has to, Xavier only backs up mutants, right? So if there is a backup, then he would be backing up a mutant, and therefore he would think Wanda's a mutant, would be my assumption, right? I think this whole thing is about that. Now, the whole whodunit business, I don't think Magneto killed her, but maybe he did. Maybe this was something they both planned. And they're like, you know what? Let's just kill me, and then this will be a way to kind of get Krakoa back on my side by revealing that she's a mutant somehow through that process. Because they think of her as like this boogie person. And that's ultimately what leads me to think, if that was not the case, if they did not make a deal to have her die so that she could be resurrected, that I was thinking Exodus. Because Exodus is like cutthroat. And like, he's the one that was talking to the children, I think, by the campfire. Was it during the, I think it might have been the 9th issue of this run, where they introduced the Crucible, where depowered mutants like have to fight to the death against Apocalypse. So good. I fucking love that shit, man. Such a good idea. I love that episode. I think that issue is my favorite issue, I think, of the entire X-Men run, beyond the stuff in Hoxpox, House of X, Powers of X. So in that issue, you had Exodus sort of being like kind of the cheerleader of like anti-Wanda hysteria, right? So there's that going on. And therefore, who knows? But in the end, the question is like, was it Magneto or wasn't it? And ultimately, I don't think it was, unless they made a deal, and therefore it could be anybody that had that kind of sort of attitude towards her. And Exodus is a prime candidate for that. But there's all sorts of evil mutants on the island, so all sorts of things could be happening. So who knows, right? Another thing that did happen is Gabby was found dead, which is the clone of X-23. And I believe there's a no clone resurrection rule. And so I'm sure there's going to be an issue there. But the question is, like, who killed her? Maybe I missed something and that was clear. I don't know. But I know she was killed or not killed. Did they say she's still alive? Something's going on with her. We'll find out more. I think we find out something. Did they say she was still alive here? I don't know. I might have missed that. I care more about what's happening with Wanda. But I mean, I like Gabby now. And my name's Gabriel. So, I mean, she's Gabby. I'm Gabby. Hey, we're Gabbies. I'm interested. But, you know, not as interested as like Wanda. What the fuck? Wanda Maximoff? From WandaVision? From fucking the Avengers movies? What? And I love the idea that, like, this is going to drive all the non-X-Men fans to these fucking books. Because they're going to be like, what? Wanda? Because everybody knows Wanda now. And everybody loves Wanda. You know? And therefore, that's going to call everybody's attention to what is happening with Wanda. And this could really help to kind of inculcate this sort of love for this new version of the X-Men in even more of sort of non-standard X-Men fans of the comics, which is exciting because it's about building a foundation so that ultimately they could translate some of this stuff into other media, right? Cartoons, which would be fucking dope. Like, I'm hoping, because there were rumors that the X-Men animated series from the 90s was going to be sort of continued by Disney. Like, they were going to bring back some of the creative team, I think. There were rumors of this. There were rumblings of it. And this may already be happening. And so wouldn't it be cool if, like, within that continuity, that led us to Krakoa? And then they kind of built out this story, but sort of in the same way they did with the original 90s show, where they told a lot of the old X-Men stories, but with that current Jim Lee, Chris Claremont centric team. You know, the Dark Phoenix saga clearly was not the original one, but it was very similar. But it had like Gambit and Rogue and all the current lineup in it. So maybe they'll do something like that. I don't know. It's exciting to just think about. But ultimately, all of it is about bringing this stuff into the movies. And there's no better way to introduce all of this into the movies than by having it be on Krakoa and having there be a planet Arakko and things of that sort, because that will make the audience think like, this is something fresh and different. You know, it's not the same thing we've done already. Because clearly Fox drove that shit into the ground, just doing a bunch of shit over and over again, doing a bad Dark Phoenix twice. I mean, what? You know, no, I don't need to get into that shit. But you know, we'll see where that all goes. Things are exciting. I'm very excited about all of it. And so, yay. So that's why the Wanda thing excites me for so many reasons, but that's definitely a big one. Like the idea that she could be sort of a cornerstone of like kind of bringing more attention into the current status quo for the X-Men in the comics, which I love, because the more people are interested, the better. The more people are talking about it, the better, etc., etc., etc. There is also, I believe the murder of Christian Frost, which I believe is he the younger brother of Emma, who was killed on the Marauders boat during Wolverine, which was also another sort of follow-up to Planet-Size X-Men between this last issue of the Hellfire Gala and Planet-Size X-Men. I think it came out last week. And so there's another murder that went on there. So that's another thing that's gonna go on. Are all three of these murders connected? You know, is this part of some bigger scheme? Who fucking knows? In the end, like, it's hard to speculate because they are so good at throwing wrenches. And I'm not I'm on the message boards and finding shit out. And like, I want to know spoilers about things that's being planned behind the scenes. I don't want to know that shit. So I don't go searching for it because I want to be surprised when I'm reading the books. Like when I read Planet-Size X-Men, I was fucking floored because I had no fucking clue. And I try not to get too far ahead in terms of my own speculation because I just want to be surprised by what happens. And also, I don't know what's going to happen because Hickman and et al. Are very good at, like, you know, just misdirection and then taking you in directions that you didn't even know we were going to go. And that's exciting to me. And that's all I want is just like those moments of like, what the fuck? And just like, yeah, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that authentic kind of surprise, that titillation from my X books. So super excited to see where all this is going. there's a new X-Men book coming out. So they're starting from number 1 again. And it's going to establish that new X-Men team as sort of being the heroes of Earth, where people are going to look at them as heroes as opposed to just like the mutant heroes, which is exciting because like that also is a change in the status quo. You know, if anti-mutant hysteria can be quelled, at least in the general populace, that's exciting. And that's a different milieu than we've had, which ultimately leads for different stories to be told. And I believe Jordan D. White, which is the main editor of this sort of the X world right now, who helped shepherd in this new era, I believe he said something about, or somebody said something somewhere about like, you know, we've had 10 years of stories that started way back in sort of Decimation, the House of M, No More Mutants, that kind of led through all the things that happened like the last 10 years or so of stories before Hoxpox. And this is the new sort of status quo. It's going to take us into probably 10 years worth of storytelling. And so there's all sorts of different stories that can be told within this new kind of milieu. And I'm so excited for all of it. And I can't wait. And I look forward to it. And I hope you guys we're all looking forward to it. I mean, how can you not look forward to it? It's freaking awesome. So I'm really excited about the whole thing. Looking forward to seeing where it's all going to go. And, you know, I'll talk about it a little more. This is like exciting to me. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to put down some thoughts because I want to talk about the X-Men because I love the X-Men and I love what's happening to them in the comics. And that's just really exciting, you know, because the world is weird right now. Things are very strange, and it's just good to have like something that you can depend on that's like, yeah, this is fucking dope. And like it's always there, you know? It's really nice. I've been going back reading X of Swords because I only read X of Swords as it was coming out. And ultimately I liked it, but I didn't get the full brunt of it. But I've read the first half the last couple of days, you know, sort of, yes, Creation was the first episode. And then they had like 10 issues where the different characters were getting their swords. And that was fun. My favorite is, of course, the Storm episode where she goes to Wakanda and she gets that sword. And eventually she sees T'Challa. I mean, just great. But definitely fun stories. Oh, there was a good one with Apocalypse that sort of told more of the backstory of him and that in sort of the old Araco Krakoa period. Which was, I forget the name of it, but it was the unified land that was broken by the Starlight Sword or something. I forgot all the specifics, but I'm liking X of Swords again. And I like reading it all together and sort of getting like the full brunt of it versus like, wait, what? And then like waiting a week and then like, oh, okay. And then like, oh, okay, cool. You know, it's like, no, all together. It's like, all right, here's the story. It's long. It's relatively tight. You know, there's some loose ends here and there, but like those loose ends are like fun because like it's all about kind of laying the foundation for like just branching out from stuff, right? But overall liking that again. And then I think once I'm done with that, I'm thinking of going back to like X-Men #1, the original X-Men #1, and then just kind of going through the entire run because I've never actually read the entire run like that. It's always been kind of segments, and I want to just go back and just read the entire thing again. So that might be something I'll be doing. And maybe I'll talk about that. Maybe I won't. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well out there. Take care of yourselves. Don't let all the bullshit in the world get to you. You know, don't take everything too seriously. Life is what it is. It is never going to be perfect. All we can do is our best at any given moment and just kind of, that's it. That's all we can do. The best in every given moment. And if that works out, it does. If it doesn't, hey, you did your best. And that's all that matters, right? Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well and does well until you see me again and I interact with you again in this virtual sort of way. And as always, I want to remind you that if you haven't already, you better put an X in that box, ladies and gentlemen, because ain't nobody checking me. Take care, folks.